I just want to rewind a bit to that portion where he's lost in the abyss of darkness. It's just horrific, and the book helps the reader to get to this place where you can take from it the fear and anxiety of the situation. You know, Rambo having to endure everything that came before the time of pitch blackness, and it's almost like it's impossible to get out of there. You know, imagine the sound of the water and the bats and the screams and you know, the beetles, and it's all amplified tremendously by the echo effect of the mine. It's total solitude, you know, man versus the world, and it's really crazy. And you know, he's lost and wondering if the next movement will cause his own death. You know, imagine like stalactites and stuff in there, and I'm assuming there's stalactites if it's been closed down long enough. But anyway, it's terrifying. You know, like he's already pretty wounded, so, and I'm guessing the burns on his cuts from the bat guano, and it's incredible. So it comes to this point where where he fully must embrace not the thought but the fact of death, and it's very gruesome manner as well. You know, so he gets out of the mine, and he's not the same Rambo anymore. He's gained the next level. You know, he becomes almost superhuman, and in his belief, he's totally focused and almost immortal to himself. You know, the Zen within him is born. And we're dealing with someone without limits now, you know, and the book makes it really surreal. And in my opinion, I think Rambo knows now that, you know, now that he's back in the woods, that he's getting out any way he can. And without a doubt, you know, and that's what makes his next choices so interesting to me. But let's back it up. But you know, not until coming to that conclusion, he's like squishing bats with his hands and beetles, flesh-eating beetles who are like fucking biting off all his skin, and he fights himself to go through with it. To the exit, and it's very Batman Begins kind of, because you know, he's becoming one with them kind of, you know, after he realizes he's not in danger, and he follows them out. And you know, along the way he's testing everywhere. He's got to go really slow because he doesn't want to fall into anything, and he becomes completely zen, eventually even missing the bat's presence. And he moves on to locate an exit. Like at one point the bats are just pushing him along, and he's completely like broken. And that's what brings his focus and saves his life. And like bat dung fills his mouth, and his genitals feel disgusting. And he eventually gets out and decides no one is going to take this Zen feel from him, because he is so complete now after going through this horrific ordeal. He's going to go through anything to keep it. And he sees a campfire down below and realizes that he's fully charged. Nothing's going to get in his way again. And but with surprise, his motives change. So Teasel wakes up from a nightmare where he has an incident. It's very fucked up, in a junkyard section of the forest, and he is now back in his office, and a deputy assists him, and they talk, and we found out he has overdosed from medicating himself, and he gets violently ill. The deputy recollects that Teasel had a pretty crazy pretty hysterical fighting moment with everyone while he was whacked out of it, like eventually trying to crash the truck they were in, then trying to steal a car to chase after Rambo. And Teasel is flabbergasted in both shock and awe. Like, how could he have, got so high and lost control and went out of control? And he gets a surprise call from his wife, Anna, who he can't even remember what she looks like now after all that has happened. He's so traumatized. And he tries to keep her on the phone as long as he can, trying to convince her to come back and to fix things. But she has seen the news and just wants to hear him safe for the last time. And he hangs up knowing that his marriage to Anna is officially over now. And it's a pretty sad chapter, but now he too is fully focused. And it all goes back to that nothing kid who he could not bring himself to call Rambo. So he arms up wearing his holster backward for Orville, and he walks up to the deputy after the deputy's recollections, and he is now also, fully in war mode. He's ready for action. But just then, a section of the town blows to fucking hell. And the call comes that Rambo has in fact, returned to town after stealing a car. And this call comes through, and Teasel's premonition begins to manifest itself in reality. And once again, it's anybody's game now. It's pretty interesting because there's a lot of outer dimension stuff here based in reality. Total suspension of belief, like the premonitions and the astral projection scene. Anyway, so a string of if I ever meet David Morrell, I'm gonna ask him about that, because that is such an awesome thing, and it plays off so natural and believable in the book. But anyway, a string of explosions roar up the main street and into town. The police station windows rattle. Orange fiery blossoms into view overhead. Rambo rumbles around town in his stolen cruiser. The rear view mirror, he's watching the streets and trees and buildings swell up into flames. And it's a tactic to confuse, diversions everywhere. He causes a car to uproot a parking meter and crash into a furniture store window. And Rambo jokes about it and flashes back to his stock car racing days. And we come to see that Teasel's dream premonitions had become reality in the reports. And there's a touch of, like I said, realistic superstition of belief on the half of an astral projective occurrence. And Troutman tries to contact and soothe over Rambo over the police scanner radio into the car, So Rambo has more flashbacks and then resists the request. He stops the cruiser at a gas station, breaks into the gas station, turns on the pumps. The just rage of orgy and destruction has begun. Like he uses a crowbar to open the pumps. Gas starts flooding into the street. He tosses a match when he gets back in the car, almost, frying himself, driving away from a massive explosion that blasts through that fucking town. Like, blocks are just decimated. Troutman continues the radio call, pleading, but Rambo shuts off the radio, and Rambo drives for the edge of town, unknowing to himself the fate that awaits him there. So Teasel, meanwhile, is there waiting for him, and he's bent over his car hood, gun in hand, and like Apollo Creed would say, this is it, man. So Rambo charges towards Teasel, and their eyes meet, and Teasel shoots out the headlights, the windshield, the tires, everything. Rambo ducks behind a dash. Both cars collide in a horrific crash, and Teasel just barely makes it out of the way. So Teasel runs to the car shooting, then looks inside shooting, but no one's inside. It is, however, extremely bloody inside. So he gains his bearings and ends up chasing Rambo into an alley. There's a lot of blood on the pavement, and Teasel counts his bullets and reloads and follows the trail. Gun blazing, attempting not to get caught in an ambush. But what the fuck? Rambo tosses a fucking lit stick of dynamite with a trimmed fuse at him. So he narrowly escapes blast fire everywhere. Teasel goes behind the wall and almost gets fucking taken out with the whole side of the building. So then he gets back in pursuit. The chase resumes to the courthouse, and Rambo, avoiding bullets, fires back, holes through mailboxes, and then Rambo blows up the fucking courthouse too. And Teasel's cramped and almost buckles again. Sorry. And just then he spots Harris, that deputy who was with him in the police station, coming out of the police station. So he tries to warn him, but it's too fucking late. Harris is obliterated as the police station blows outward, chopping him to fucking bits. The kill count reaches 24. All Teasel had left was now taken from him. In a shockwave so massive, it renders him in awe, frozen, paralyzed. More bullets are then exchanged shortly after. Teasel collapses from the beastly beating his body has taken over the last few days. He decides to trudge onward, and he stalks Rambo to a park, crossing what's left of Harris, on the way. It's pretty disgusting. Anyway, so Rambo hides near a house under two pedestrians who come out, and he's aiming at Teasel, and the couple hear the click of the cocking of the gun, and pretty much freak out. So more shots are exchanged. The couple runs back in the house. Rambo's under the house shooting at Teasel. Bullets are coming back and forth. Rambo runs out of bullets in the rifle and switches to his pistol. And they begin in dance, pretty much. The two leaving the other two, and once again, the deadly game, is back on. So Rambo's head has been cracked open from the car accident. There's a lot of blood in his eyes. It's just full of blood everywhere. And Rambo hones in on a dark figure looming in the distance. And Rambo fucking blasts a fucking hole right through Teasel. But then is struck by something himself and laid out on his back in the grass. And it's about to get a lot worse or better for him, depending, I guess, on how you want to look at it. But here we go.